everyone, it's Jenny from Homestead Corner, and today I have got 10 foods that will last in your pantry indefinitely. There are a lot of great foods to add to your pantry, and some of those foods are going to be shorter term, 1 to 4 or 5 years, and then some are going to be longer term, which is 5 years plus. And today I have a list of 10 that are going to last indefinitely when stored properly. And when someone says when stored properly, because that's how people usually explain it, that is just you want to get these to be airtight. No air. If you can keep the air out of it, air is your enemy with food storage. Pretty much any air. All foods, you want to keep the air out of it. They're going to last longer when you can get them airtight. And there are a bunch of ways to do that. You can vacuum seal in jars, vacuum seal in bags, use Mylar bags with oxygen absorbers. I tend to, if I'm either a Mylar bag for bulk stuff, like for a 5-gallon bucket, you can buy the bags and the oxygen absorbers. I'll link some stuff that might be helpful in the description down below if you're looking for any of these things. I just buy the 5-gallon bag, Mylar bags. They fit right in the bucket, and they are plenty tall enough so when you open it, you can put a new oxygen absorber in there and reseal it closed if you have to, or put something else in it. It's just dry goods. They're easy to clean out and reuse. So I don't necessarily count one Mylar bag as you can use it more than once, so which is nice. And there's usually quite a bit of space in the top, so I just push as much air out as I can and let the oxygen absorber do the rest. And you can, any airtight container, you also want to keep them dark. Light exposure to your foods is going to degrade them over time, which can also, you lose nutrients, you may lose texture, color, things like that. Not that they're necessarily bad, but they're not going to be as nutritious. And in an emergency, you want as nutritious of food as you can get. So if you're storing in the clear vacuum seal bags, I put those in a tote or in a bucket once they're all sealed up. That way they're airtight, they're in the dark, I don't have moisture getting to them. Moisture is another problem. The humidity can be bad for them. Definitely, we keep moisture absorbers in our pantry to help with this. And silica gel packs are great to toss in dry goods as well, just to make sure that they're staying, if they're not completely airtight, if any moisture could get in, you want them to be dry. So I throw those in just for good measure a lot of times, even though I know the jar is sealed. But and you don't want to store in extreme temperatures, like in the attic or in the garage. You want somewhere where the temperature stays pretty level, in a closed up room with the, blackout curtains or something, a basement, things like that. You want to keep it in a area, the garage, it can get really hot in the summer and really cold in the winter, and those extreme changes are not good for your food. It's going to break them down as well. But those are just some tips for storage of these items. So you want them to be in the dark, dry, low humidity as possible, and airtight. Those are definitely the keys to make your food last the longest. So the first thing I have on my list is honey. Honey will last indefinitely. They have found it thousands of years old and it's still good. You just want to make sure that it's raw honey and it's not processed or anything. Your honey, it's got much more nutrients in it when it's raw, but if it is sealed up, you are fine. It is not going to go bad. And the next thing is beans. Beans are one of those things that are just going to last and last and last. And if air gets in your beans, it's not necessarily going to destroy your beans, but it is gonna, the more they dry out, the harder they are to cook. So older beans are definitely much more difficult to cook. And a lot of people will dry can in the oven their beans and rice, which is great. But if you're going to plan on using those beans for seeds, you don't want to dry can them in the oven. The heat will make it so they won't sprout. And you want to, you can freeze if you're worried about bugs, freeze for a couple days, let them come down to room temperature, and then package up in an airtight container. The next thing that is going to last is rice. Rice is going to last indefinitely when you keep it stored good. And number 4, salt. Salt's another one of those things. It's great to flavor your food. It's great for preserving your food. Everyone should have lots and lots of salt in their preps. And I think different kinds of salt, like we particularly like the pink salt, the Himalayan, but I also keep regular table salt, so I have some iodine in there, and we also keep like sea salt. Those are the 3 salts that we do use. Most of the time I just use the pink, but in an emergency, the iodized salt is definitely going to come in really handy. And canning salts, if you're a canner, that's another one. Number 5, vinegar and apple cider vinegar, either white or apple cider or both. We keep both on hand. They are not going to go bad. They last and last. The apple cider has so many good nutrients in it for you, and they both have tons of uses, not just for cooking and preserving food. They also are wonderful for cleaning, hair rinses, all kinds of stuff. Both of those are must-haves, and they're not going to go bad on you. You can stick as much as you want in the pantry. It is not going to go bad. The next thing, number 6, is sugar. Sugar is another one of those things that as long as you keep it airtight, dark, dry, it is going to stay. It's not going to go bad on you. And in Mylar bags, anything like that, you don't want to suck the air out and put an oxygen absorber in. It is going to turn it into a brick. You can break it apart and it is still good if it gets hard, but it's a lot easier to use with when I store it bulk, put it in a Mylar bag, pour it in, and I seal up part of my bag, but enough room that I can put my hand in there. That's how I do all my bags usually anyway. And then the sugar, just fold it down the best you can, press as much air out, and then finish sealing it. And that works really well. So it's nice and airtight, and it's not too compact in there. It's not going to turn it into a rock. The next, number 7, is soy sauce. Soy sauce is wonderful for flavoring things, and as long as you've got it sealed up in the bottle, it is not going to go bad. Keeping it in a cool, dark, dry place, again, sealed, it's going to last and last. And soy sauce is so good for tons of different flavorings, especially if you're doing a lot of rice dishes and things like that. It really helps out. And I have found it's absolutely fabulous with a couple tablespoons in some soup. Yummy. And my brother-in-law taught me that trick. It's really, really good. And then number 8 is maple syrup. Maple syrup, again, once you get that sealed up, if you're making your own or buying it at the store, and I'm talking about real maple syrup, not like Mrs. Buttersworth. She's good, but it's not going to last forever. But the maple syrup is going to last if you have real maple syrup. So if you tap trees and make your own or buy from a local farm or something like that, that's going to last and last in your pantry. Number 9, alcohol. Wine gets better with age. We all know that. And, you may lose a little bit of those fruity tastes over the years, that fruitiness, but it's still, alcohol is alcohol. When you need it, you need it. whether it's to clean a wound. I wouldn't clean a wound with wine, but other alcohol. But alcohol's gonna last. It's not gonna go bad. And it's a wonderful barter item. If you're not a drinker, it's still good to have some on hand. And number 10, baking soda. So many recipes call for baking soda. And again, it's one of those things that has tons and tons of uses. You can use baking soda a million different ways for cleaning. You can brush your teeth with it. There are just so many different things you can do with it. So baking soda is definitely on that 10 list, and baking soda is not going to go bad. The baking powder will go bad. It'll go flat over time, but the baking soda is not going to. And as a bonus, because I am a coffee junkie, and you all know, but instant coffee. I prefer percolated coffee, drip coffee, regular coffee. But in a pinch and for emergencies, definitely keep some instant coffee if you're a coffee fan. The instant coffee, as long as it is airtight and sealed up, it is going to last and last. You could put it in the freezer if you want to, but it really doesn't need that, I don't think. Some people recommend it. I just keep it on the shelf, and I have never, ever had it go bad, and as long as it's sealed up. So coffee, definitely. Lots of coffee. You know me, I like it. And that is it for my 10 foods that will last indefinitely. These foods will last in my pantry longer than I'm going to last. So, you can stock as much as you can, much as you have space for. Obviously, you want meats, fruits, and vegetables to get all of your other nutrition in and things like that, and as much variety as possible. But these staples, you don't have to worry about them going bad or worrying about, they're gonna expire or best by date or none of that stuff. They're just gonna be okay. And that's it for today. If you like this video, give me a thumbs up. Subscribe. I'll see you in the next video. Bye.